Alright, how to replace the battery on a Philips Sonicare HX6910 Flexcare toothbrush. Now, to start off with, I've owned this toothbrush for a very long time, and recently the battery just only lasts a couple days at most. So I peeled back the rubber overmolding here on the bottom, and there was a seam. So I thought, well, what if the whole thing, this is the best place to start. I mean, worst case scenario, I break it and I have to buy a new one, which I didn't want to do, but I figured if I had a shot at replacing the battery, it's better $8 for a battery than $40 for a new toothbrush. Or more, because I don't know if they make this one anymore. But with a little bit of prying with a common screwdriver, and I will note this will leave some marring on the plastic, but considering how old this toothbrush is, I'm really not concerned about it. And then the whole thing slides out. Now this is the bit that we're interested in. You can see this one's got some marring because in the process of trying to figure out how to get it out, I did wear through the casing a bit, but it's only the plastic sleeve. The battery itself is not damaged. Now, the battery terminals on this, let's see how close I can get to the camera before autofocus will stop. You can sort of see the shininess, but the tabs on this are soldered directly into this board, and then the tabs themselves are spot welded onto this battery. So I thought I would desolder it, but they actually heat staked in this plastic card on top. So once that would be off, that'd be just about it unless you wanted to glue it back in, and even then you'd have to somehow glue it to that tiny little plastic post. So what I did instead is I got the smallest common screwdriver that I have, and I actually went in and got between the battery terminals and the tabs, and I very gently rocked the screwdriver back and forth until each one of those spot welds broke. Once I did that, I was able to take my larger common here and then just pry it out gently, mind you. You do not want to go through the casing and short out this battery. That would not be a fun time for anyone. And then you will see that it says it is a Sony lithium-ion battery. Warning, risk of explosion. Yes, I think everyone knows that at this point. So then you have your positive and your negative, and you see where I broke off those spot welds there. So the only battery I could find that was actually a genuine Sony battery, because I just wanted to stick with what came in it, plus I wanted something reputable, had tabs pre-soldered. Now because I can't get the old ones out, because I can't get the board off to get, I can't use these. However, I sort of do like them in this case. I'm going to trim them down though, if I can. Score it and break it off anyway. Because what I'm going to do is we're actually going to use the little bit of nickel-plated steel that's left from these and use these as protection for this battery. Because, of course, this is vibrating quite quickly. Now you've got the old tabs in there, and I don't know if they ever would wear through any of the terminals on the battery, but now you've got a little extra layer of steel just in case. So you want to put it back in, positive terminal up, and this is really easy to do. All you do is line it up and clip it back in. And just like that now, your battery will, well, this one's brand new and it's actually in storage charge, that's why it's saying it's somewhat low, but it does work. Now upon reassembly, you want to make sure that everything is still lined up, that nothing came off. This board can come off of this section here, and then of course it won't go together correctly. So you just want to make sure everything's clipped in, assembled straight. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take this whole unit, and if this white part comes off, let me show this because someone will probably have theirs come off, and it'll be nice to know if it does. You then, in the meantime, I'm disassembling the rest of it. If this white part comes off, which of course it doesn't want to come off when you're filming, nothing wants to cooperate when you're filming. There it goes. Alright, you will see up in this, you'll see there's a tab on the inside lip there, and a sort of wedge shape at the top. Now that coincides directly with the charging coil here on the back. You can see that's where the tab would go in. You can see that sort of matching ramp that goes in with this. So you just want to make sure you have the slot at the tab and the wedge up at the wedge. Thankfully, that's pretty straightforward and simple. Then you want to make sure these little white bits here underneath the black ones. Now that this has come apart, I can show you how to put it back together. You'll see these rails in here that are somewhat T-shaped, upside down T. And then you'll see 2 locking tabs on this place. What you do is you put the tabs in the wide part of the T, and then you slide it in. And that's it. It just goes right back in. Now that you've got everything back together, you take the whole assemble, you push it right up and in, it'll snap back in place, test that your buttons work, turns on, modes are changing, and that's it. You just saved yourself a fair bit of money by not having to buy a new toothbrush, as long as you don't mind the overmolding being marred a bit. And mainly mine is because I peeled it back to make sure that there was actually a seam there.